Welcome back to the Naissus Fantasy Podcast. And with me today is Emanuel Turesson.
Hello.
And as always, your host, Markus Vasily Vikander.
Yes, and today we're going to take a little bit of a sidestep of what we have discussed last time, because last time was a pretty free form. And today we're going to go back with a bit of a more structure on the topic.
Yes. We're going to be talking about the role of religion in fantasy works.
Yeah, and our experience with not with religion per se, but in fantasy, what have we seen and discovered, and how has it affected stories in different ways? So.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've spoken a lot about Game of Thrones and so on, or Song of Ice and Fire a bit, if you go to the books. And we will probably come into that today as well, because we have a topic that is truly interesting. But I was thinking to go over to your side and just ask, when you try to figure in from the writer's aspect of writing your story with the religion inside of it.
Yeah.
Do you look a lot to the other fantasy religions you have seen, or do you look at more of the real world religions and myths and epics?
That's a good question, and I think it's different for every author. But when it comes to my book series, Naissus Legend, I mostly took inspiration from real-life religions and real-life history, and then setting it in the context of the world I have crafted, because it can't be a complete carbon copy of our reality, because the setting isn't our reality. But you can take clear influences and inspiration from real religions and structures and faith.
Yeah, of course, and that's but you can also look at how other fantasy stories and worlds have used.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, a big distinction in fantasy is that you, as a creator, regardless if it's a video game, a book, or a movie, you can make the start decision: is a religion real or not? And you can make it more clear in your work, like how present are the divine powers or gods and so forth. So like take World of Warcraft for an example. The story in that game has reached to the point where we know which gods are real and what the cosmic powers are. You have even in some games met the Titans. That is one of the types of gods in that world. So you know the divine is real. It's not a question if for the characters living in that world. They know that the Titans are real, they know that the old gods are real, they know that the Loon is real, they know that the Emerald Dream is real, and so forth and so forth. But you can also take the point of view that you want to leave it ambiguous. For example, Westeros, Faith of the Seven, is it real? Do the Seven actually exist, or is it a figment of people's imagination? So that is also like a start of decision you have to make as a writer. Do I want to make it clear that the gods are real, or do I want to make it ambiguous if they are real, or do I want to make it clear that they're not real? That's like the first decision you have to make.
Yeah, so and that's really interesting to see, because it can affect both the story and the world.
Yeah.
So if you just look at the story, there's a big difference if believing in a God and coming in contact with the God, for example.
Exactly. And in regard to my books, I made a clear decision to leave it ambiguous. So as we, at the point of the story where we are right now, because I don't want to spoil anything, it's still pretty ambiguous. There are things that point to the God being real, and there are things pointing towards God not being real. It's up to the characters in the world and the reader to make a decision for themselves by the facts they've been presented so far.
Yeah, I was thinking some of the most interesting things about when you go into the fantasy realm of looking is when they have, I've looked at I think Edding's later two trilogies with Spearhawk, and the Neil Gaiman world novel and the TV series as well with American Gods had an interesting twist where every religion was real, and they competed about like followers.
Yeah,
and there was many of the old gods tried to update themselves to the new
the new world to gain some followers. Yeah,
yeah. So one went from the book of this to being maybe news or short information bursts of stuff, and
exactly. And also on the topic of World of Warcraft, I remember when I was deep into World of Warcraft and the lore, one of my favorite mysteries was the role of the divine in World of Warcraft. Like, what are the Titans? Why did Sargeras turn evil? Are these all the gods? But then when you reach the point where it became very clear about the cosmic powers and its structure, it became less interesting for me because I no longer had this mystery to unveil and figure out. Like, what is Sargeras' agenda? What is the agenda of the Titans? And these different storylines. And for many games, they also built up the old gods as this big enemy, and you had this missing old god, Ensoth. And they built so much up to him. So when you get to the point in the game where you actually kill him, it was really anticlimactic. It was like you've been building towards this for several games, for several years. It's supposed to be like an epic conclusion, and it felt like a bummer. Also in the expansion pack Legion, where you would finally, face the Burning Legion and its leader Sargeras, he also felt like, the super end boss. And then you get to the raid and you defeat Sargeras, and it also felt like a bummer. Like, okay, wasn't bigger than this. He plants his sword in the planet, and now he's captured. Huh. Okay, boring. And then you also reach a part where, like, and I think this is a bit of a problem with Marvel as well, which is you always have to up the stakes, and you sooner or later get to a point where it's like, okay, we went from killing an evil dragon to killing a cosmic god to killing another cosmic god. Like, where are you gonna go from here? I mean, I've killed 2 gods so far. Okay, I've captured 1 god and killed a god. Like, what can't I do? Nothing is scary anymore. The stakes never feel real because the champion of Azeroth, he has captured a god and killed a god already.
Yeah, and that's but that's just lazy writing.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't.
There's no stakes anymore.
Well, the stakes could be. If you look at you try to do something that's actually affecting the world.
Yeah.
And you probably, maybe you remove characters or affect characters in a way. I think one of the most interesting journeys, if you look at the Marvel thing, it's hard to take into the fantasy because it's from the comic and it's so much everything. It's
I think we can do an exception.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, it's fantasy, it's science fiction, it's everything. It goes together with realism and drama and everything. But if you take the MCU, the cinematic universe, so I think the one that's most interesting to follow is probably the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Because you can see her losing everything, and then losing her brother, and then finding something, and then finding love, and then have to be able to save the world, killing the one you love, and then having it not mattered.
Yeah.
And that's how she breaks and becomes the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, exactly. I think another interesting question for both of us. What is your favorite fantasy religion? Not necessarily that you like the tenets, but the religion you find the most interesting in that setting.
So there's so many to choose from.
Which one is the first that pops up in your head?
Well, just because I read or listened a little bit about it pretty recently, is Crom.
Okay. Tell me, I don't know about it. Crom.
Crom is...
Chrome, okay.
It's the god that are for the Cimmerians in the world of Conan.
Okay.
And I like it because it doesn't really give you anything, because you have to earn it. You're not. it's not a giving god.
No.
But then you know that it's so interesting with the Conan's, all the different types of gods, because there's like a hierarchy of gods, and then you have the Lovecraftian connection to it as well. So though both Lovecraft and Howard, who wrote Conan, were very good friends and wrote back and forth, so they influenced each other. So you have the Cthulhuism as well there, a lot, the strange and dark things, and so that's the first one that comes to mind. That I think of. Then I think, of course, of the one in the mysterious fire, god of fire in A Song of Ice and Fire as well.
Yeah, Relore. And I think the cool thing about that is he presents you with these different religions.
Yeah.
But if we talk about just the TV show, the TV adaptation, there is truly only one religion that gives you like any signs of it being real. That is the Lord of Light. The Red Witch actually does magic. You can actually see stuff happening. The dragons, they breathe fire after all. That religion warns about an evil ice god, and you have the White Walkers. I mean, as I was following both the books and the TV show, it became clear to me that if any of these religions are true, it is probably the Lord of Light. But is the Lord of Light truly the good god? Because what does he demand from you? Blood sacrifice.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was kind of hoping that George R. R. Martin was going for the twist that that's the evil god. The ice god is actually the nice guy. And I was hoping the end twist was the White Walkers are the good guys. They're trying to stop the evil fire god.
But still you have, I think that in A Song of Ice and Fire, the religions there are where they're so different.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they connect in such a different way. Like you say a phrase or something and you know what religion you're talking about, or like Valar Morghulis.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was something strange in that place there. Yeah. What are they doing with all the people and stuff they are burying and killing and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. And you had a faceless god. No, the many-faced god.
Yeah.
And then you have the drowned god of the Iron Isles.
Yeah, the seven.
Faith of the Seven, Lord of Light. And then ancient Valeria had their own religion as well.
Yeah. And you have a lot of, you don't even get to know all the religions as
exactly.
well. I mean, you think about it, probably the what's their name? Dothraki.
Yeah, the Dothraki.
They have something else.
Yeah.
It's a stallion in the skies. So
the stallion that will mount the world.
Yeah. So you don't really know what everything is as well, which is more logical because most of the things are presented more from one character's view all the time. So,
and it was also a fun thing in the early days of World of Warcraft, because you also had several different religions, and then later it turned out that they were all sort of true. It was just that you had decided to worship different divine powers. For example, the orc shamans, they worshipped the elements, and the elemental lords do exist. So that's a real thing that you can draw power from. You had the warlocks worshipping the fell and demons, and by extension, the fallen titan Sargeras. So that's also real. You had the priesthood of the light, Church of Light, and that the light and the Naru are a real thing, and so forth. So then it turns out like all these religions are true, but in the end there is 4 cosmic powers that are competing with each other to dominate the universe. And this is also where what we were talking earlier about Mistborn. That World of Warcraft has kind of moved from being pure fantasy to more science fiction today, because you have different planets, you have spaceships that you travel with. So I mean, they're also, sort of on the line to being more sci-fi than fantasy now.
I mean, if you would have presented spaceships in like an earlier Warcraft, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
So and I still don't think it works, but that's just me. I haven't played the latest of the games.
Yeah. So, for example, the first time that started coming into the Warcraft mythos was the first expansion pack, the Burning Crusade, where you use the magic dark portal to go to Outland, what remains of the planet Draenor. Well, they had established that it was a magical portal, so still a bit fantasy. But they also wanted to make the Draenei a playable race. So how do they get Azeroth? Well, their spaceship crashed, the Exodar. So they had a really big feeling of science fiction, but Blizzard's explanation was, it's a spaceship powered by magic. So it's fantasy, it's not science. It's with the magic of the light that makes this spaceship fly through space.
I don't buy it.
Nah, I don't buy it either. It's science fiction. And that you have all these machines. And I mean, they went as far, so today in the story, like easily explained, the Titans are made out of world souls. So planets are basically big eggs with a world soul in them. Not every planet, but some. And Azeroth has a world soul. And the Titans believe that this is the prime world soul. It will be the most powerful Titan ever that will win the galactic cosmic war. And that is why all the cosmic powers wants to win over this world soul. So the Void wants to like corrupt this world soul so it becomes a Void Lord. The Titans want to order it so it becomes a Titan. Okay, so how are the Titans going to order it? Well, they have built all these like introverted mechanical structures to control the world soul. So, like machines. Structures with cogs and wheels and big computers. That feels very science fiction to me and not necessarily fantasy. It's not a magical ritual.
I would say it's
science fiction.
Yeah, science fiction. I don't like when it gets too much science fiction-y. I mean, it's one thing to have like an homage in something.
Yeah.
So, for example, I really liked if you play The Witcher 2, I think you start and you go into the one of the starting areas, and you have to go into a gate, and you climb down, and you see a bale of hay and a white-robed guy lying on the floor. Beside it, like he has missed the and it's like, yeah, you can't jump into those.
Yeah.
And it's clearly just a small wink to Assassin's Creed, but
yeah, that stuff is fun. I agree.
More like an Easter egg, and they just move on. And I like those kind of stuff because those know.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's just, strange. Of course you can't jump. That would be totally unrealistic. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Easter eggs and homages are always fun. But back to your core point, like I agree. Like take my books for an example. It's a fantasy book series. But if we would end, for example, because there's 6 parts of this original Pavel story. For those who know. If, for example, the great ending would be that in chapter 2, it turns out that he's actually a normal police officer in our world, and he was just dreaming. It was just a strange dream, and now it's a cop mystery. I think my fans would kill me.
Yeah,
because you had a promise that this was supposed to be a fantasy story, and now it's Swedish crime noir all of a sudden. And everything you read earlier didn't matter because it was a fever dream.
And you can do something like that, but you have to do it really quick.
Yeah.
And it should be a genre less
exactly.
type of book instead. But if you look at let's go back to the religion part of different stories instead, because that's what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah.
We can go swimming through a couple of different topics as always, but I was thinking about, if you look at the biggest of them all, The Lord of the Rings, there you have it. If you just read The Lord of the Rings, there's something but almost nothing about the religion.
Yeah.
The religion is not the important part, because the religion there is not, or the gods there, I should say, god or gods, or how you want to define it, isn't the main part of the story, or the people in the story. Therefore, it might have religion, but it doesn't have organized religion.
Yeah, exactly. It has faith, but not organized religion.
And that's a really interesting way of looking at how you take on the world, because in the Tolkien world, if you read the different books, you learn how the world created and the different ages and what happened and everything. But you don't get to follow the characters' journey or beliefs, or more than the doubt that could arrive when in fear.
Yeah, I think George R. R. Martin put it well in one interview where he said that, well, the thing about Lord of the Rings is that there's no question if the divine is real. It's a common fact for them. Faith has nothing with it to do. It's common knowledge. And that the thing about religion and faith is that you have to believe. It's not obvious for everyone to see. So he meant that if you write a word like Lord of the Rings, there's no question, does elves exist? Or does hobbits exist? Or is Sauron real? It's history, it's fact. Everybody agrees on these things. There isn't a part of Middle-earth where they say that, oh, the belief in dwarves, that's just the BS. They don't really exist. That's the imagination of idiots. Because, no, we all know it. I've met that dwarf. He's standing right over there. You're crazy. Like, that's Gimli. And that's Legolas. He's an elf. I can clearly see the pointy ears. And to George's point, like, what is religion? What is faith? Yeah, well, it's called faith because you have to make a leap of faith. And to go back to World of Warcraft, it's the same in that world. It's sort of, but there they fix it because there are this competition of powers. So there's, in that way, a logical reason for an organized religion, because you need a structure. Like, okay, there are 4 cosmic powers. I've decided to back this cosmic power. So this is our religion, and this is the way we try to recruit more members of our cosmic power to be the triumphant one. But where they fail a bit in Blizzard is they make it very clear that some of these cosmic powers are truly evil. So why would anybody, follow that apocalyptic religion? So when you make it too clear that these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, I think you make it too simple. It would have been cooler if all 4 cosmic powers are good from their point of view. That would create more nuance in it all.
And if your complete family are destroyed in a raid, you don't have any else to turn to than the one who answers. Isn't he good in his way that answers you?
Yeah, that's one solution of it, absolutely. So I mean, they sort of, like the void is just evil. There is nothing good with the end goal of the void. So being a void worshipper or member of the Twilight Summer, that is like you say, like something really shitty must have happened to you and you simply want revenge, or this was the only avenue for you to go. For a while with Burning Crusade and Sargeras, it was that he said, okay, the universe is rotten, it's corrupted, we have to start over. I have to annihilate everything to create true order. The ends justify the means. I'm hitting the reset button. So all these demons I've spent eons capturing, I'm releasing them to purify the universe. And that is why it's called the Burning Crusade. Okay, sounds a bit cray-cray, but you can at least see where it's coming from. And then they tried to make that critique of the religion of the light is that the light wants to dominate everything, that only light is good, and that you don't need free will. And the same with the Titans, that they are the cosmic power of order. And what is order? Well, it has to be clearly autistically structured, so there's no room for free will. You should not have free will. You should just follow your programming. And you can have arguments against that as well. So I mean, they tried to make it that you could make like a positive and a bad case for each cosmic power, but I kind of feel they felt like they missed the mark, and some of the stuff is like added too how do you say, too quickly.
Well, I think it comes down to the tropes of the religion in fantasy as well, because if you look at sometimes you have the good and evil from the start. This is the good and this is the evil. And this is the heroes and these are the villains. And you need to follow the heroes and the villains. You know these are the bad guys. They are smashing puppies, killing kittens, and eating babies.
Yeah.
These are heroes. They are saving everyone and doing shopping to elderly people. They're doing everything right, and that's okay in that type of story. But it's not. You can't have that in every story.
No, exactly. It becomes kind of boring if it's all like that.
But if every type of genre is like George R.R. Martin style, it would be catastrophic as well.
Yeah, you need nuance.
Because then it's okay, sure, it could have been like this, but then you also miss the story of the triumph and of the hero in that sense. So you need to have the balance, and when it comes to the religions of different ways, I think really depends. I find that some of those that are most fun to read. I think we should give some of them a shot in for maybe a future episode. But then I think we should check out some of the Discworld, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the Discworld?
No.
So the Discworld is how the world actually is, where it's on a giant turtle swimming through space. That's the world. That's how it really is, because that's the way it always has been. You just don't know it, and it's different characters doing different stuff. It's from the author. It's called Terry Pratchett, and the Discworld has so many genres. I remember they had games where there was the classical point and click adventure games where you were like, you have to feed the librarian a banana, otherwise you can't receive the green torch.
Yeah. Basic.
And then I remember they released a new was supposed to make a new Discworld game, and the first I didn't know anything about it, and the name of it was Discworld Noir. So it started up like a classical noir crime. There's nothing sacred in these books at all. And it's almost like it makes fun of all the different genres and gods and how the world... I should see if I can find the one where the people who discovers... When you get to discover how the platypus is made.
Yeah.
And it's about... It's actually probably, I think, if I remember it correctly, a couple of wizards trying to discuss how to draw something, and everybody arguing and adding their own stuff, getting to a platypus instead.
Yeah, there are many different funny takes you can make about the divine. There was also a mobile phone game I played a while ago. It was sort of fun. It was called like God Box or something, World Box, where you're basically God. So you create the world, you add animals and people, orcs, elves, dwarves, whatever. And well, then you don't have much more control. You just see what happens. And you can bless someone, you can curse someone, and so forth. Like, and yeah, so you create your little world. Things happen. Then it's a little boring. It needs to happen something. maybe we need a little cataclysmic event here on my big one island world. I'm dropping a meteor in the center of it. Let's see what happens. Or I think this kingdom is getting a bit too strong. They need a volcano near capital. Or, okay, we need a big plague. But I think the fun thing about that game is that it makes you, get a perspective about the divine, that what's driving me to doing these horrible things against these creatures? I'm bored.
Well,
boredom is driving me to to do this shitty stuff against them, not a higher purpose.
And if you talk about games, you have, I think, the first 3 games that I played that was highly influential, I should say. You had the Populous games, so Populous 1 and 2. I think it was the 3, or it was an expansion that turned into a later game called Black or White.
Yeah.
So the big difference is actually it's just more better graphics and stuff. And
I played the Black or White too.
Yeah, and that's when the big thing is, the difference is you have the big avatar, the animal, which you can get and you can pet and you can play with. And if you're a good guy, you stop your avatar from eating your followers. And if you don't care, you let he's just playing with the...
I let him do whatever he wants. I'm a god. He's my avatar.
But then the reason for you to be the more aggressive was that it was those other gods over there with followers, and those followers didn't help you. They did their own thing to their god. They should be following me. So there was more usually that you wanted to destroy or collect the other god's followers to your path instead.
Yeah.
And I think one of them was, the more followers you had, you quicker you filled your mana to be able to do spells.
Yeah.
But those were actually, when we speak about the genre today, those were actually called god games.
Yeah. And I think it's an underestimated genre. I would like to see, a more in-deep, almost, paradox-style god game where you have a lot more power to do stuff. I think that would be a really cool and fun sandbox game. And that was the thing about, this Worldbox game on the phone. There were some features I was missing. I want to be able to pick a prophet and give him, my 10 commandments and have, complete freedom what it is. Like, for example, thou must always eat a cheeseburger on Fridays, number 1. Yes, you can take it serious or you can go wacko. I think that would be a really fun game. And then see, how will it go for this prophet? will he be able to spread my religion? It didn't go too well. Okay, I need a new prophet. Or here's the Messiah and so forth. I think that would be a really fun game concept.
Yeah.
Where is no specific goal for you. What's the end goal of your creation?
That is so interesting that there's a... I don't remember that many people that played these games and not had fun.
Yeah.
Still, why are there not as much? What was the problem with them? I don't know. Would be interesting to find out. Maybe I'll go on a deep dive later. Probably.
Yeah. Same here.
Because it started to wake some old feelings about some old god games that I remember we used to connect our PCs together and unleash loads of spells on each other and laugh with much joy or be very angry, depending on who did what and who received what.
Yeah, so answering the question from my point of view, I think that the most interesting religious fantasy system or god for me, probably Warhammer Fantasy. I really like the Chaos Gods and the concept of the Chaos Gods and all these different factions having their own gods and those gods being real. So I really liked, the god lore in Warhammer Fantasy, where you had the Empire of Mankind who worship the god Sigmar. You had Kislev, And they have Ursun, the bear god. And then in the Far East, you have a Grand Cafe with their immortal dragon emperor, with every governor for every province being a child of the god emperor and also being a dragon. So they worship dragons. And then you have like the Draconians of Lustria who worship the old gods.
Yeah, the lizardmen, right?
Yeah, the lizardmen, correctly. And then you have the Tomb Kings and you have the vampires. Like, it was fun lore. But it was also like a lore system set up for eternal conflict, because at the end of the day, it was a board game and every faction was supposed to be able to fight each other.
Yeah, so I like to like it when you have to have it where everybody. So if you have something that's true, that you decided this is the one that's true, then you part of it destroys the fun for all the other things. So let's play with an example. So this is no spoilers because it's an old story about from the Vampire of the Masquerade universe. So the origin story of vampires is that Cain was the original vampire, and he had he sired two new vampires, or three, depending on how you look at it. And then the third generation became 13. These are the 13 different clans. And depending on the weakness that your vampire, is he one of those that can't see his reflection in the mirror? Yeah. Is he one that's easily angrily because of easier to go into the frenzy state? Yeah. Or maybe looks like a corpse all the time because he's part of that clan. And then, so every clan is unique in some way. And one of the fun things is who wins. Yeah. Of course, no one can win, but then you have one of the clans, their great inspiration or the first of their clan is destroyed. Then in some way actually takes away from the game instead, because maybe that story came a bit later and you had maybe years in the playing in that world where you were part of that clan, and now suddenly, because of the writing choices of the authors of the game, you're no longer able to continue the journey in the same way. And that's a strange when it comes to games in that way.
Yeah, exactly. And if I remember correctly with Vampire the Masquerade, isn't it also a question for them what happened to Cain? It's not like canon if he's dead or alive. That's like a theological question for them.
Yeah, no one knows.
Yeah.
And no one actually knows if these 13 clan fathers actually are real.
Yeah.
No one. Because
and I think that's also important, in fantasy religions. You want this element of mystery. At least for me. And I mean, that was one of the things that made World of Warcraft less interesting for me, when the mysteries were removed.
Yeah, but for me it depends, because if you go into it more like, let's say you read about a world where it's more inspired of the Greek myths and the pantheon of gods, is always connecting and playing with their creation and the characters of the world, that I don't feel that it takes away from the mystery in the same way, because then I know that the preferences are other. Then it comes to what's their goals, what are who's the conniving, who can I trust, then it's mortal beings playing with new puppies.
Yeah.
And the puppies don't really have anything to know how to do it. Of course, humans are more intelligent than puppies, but you get.
I get it.
Then it could be really fun, because the mystery is presented in another way. But if you start with that and then you take in characters that now we don't believe in the pantheon, okay, but we started with presenting the pantheon, and then you don't believe it. Then you take it away in they become silly because we know they're real, and that's the same when you have the question. If you answer the question, then the question becomes unimportant.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do agree that if you choose to have it like a big question, then you have to let the question remain.
Yeah. And if you're going to give an answer, then it has to be, at the end of the story.
Then it should be a conclusion.
Yeah, it should be part of the conclusion, and not that, if this was this really interesting question, and 1/3 through it, we get that final answer, but then we try to pretend that this is still important for the rest of it. Then it kind of, kills the interest. So for me, it would have been like if they had ended World of Warcraft after you defeated Ensoth, and Azeroth was saved. Well, okay, I got my ending. This entire story was about the world soul of Azeroth and saving her from being corrupted by the void. We succeeded. Everything was good. Hunky-dory ending. Yeah. Or we failed, for example. Like a cool twist would have been that at the very end we realized that our planet Azeroth is just like an egg for this world soul. And it all ends with us saving Azeroth, and then the Titans say, okay, great. We have gotten rid about the void corruption. Great job. I'm pressing this button now, and boof, the planet explodes, and the Prime Soul has become a Titan. The end. Then would have been like, wait a minute, we should never have helped the Titan because that meant the end of us, and we didn't see it coming. That would have been like a cool twist of an ending. Yeah. Okay, maybe we shouldn't have helped the Titans. Maybe our true goal should have been to keep Azeroth sleeping, because that will be the end of all of us. But now it's like, and I understand it. They want to make money. They want it to go on for like as long as possible. Yeah, but I think you have to end stuff at some point.
Yeah, and I don't see why you can't end one story and then start a new story.
Yeah,
you don't need a continuation from the start to the. It could be a new story.
Yeah,
it could be in the same world, but it could be a new story.
Yeah. So for like World of Warcraft, they, after the expansion Shadowlands, which was very poorly received, they took back Chris Metzen, the original writer, and he was very clear that the 3 expansions now, called the World Soul Saga, will have like a really clear conclusion. So he said, okay, these 3 expansions, they are connected. They're like 3 acts of a story.
Yeah.
And so he has set the expectation for me that we're going to get a real conclusion at the end of it. And I would be really impressed if they actually did it. So I would hope that World Soul Saga is the ending of World of Warcraft, and after that they would release like World of Warcraft 2 or a completely new game.
Yeah, I don't understand why they never had instead. I mean, it would have been better, I believe, to some time have released World of Warcraft 2 instead of a bunch of different expansions all the time. Because what I get that you want to keep your players, but I mean you can't, because of how big it is, you don't need that many new players. But I mean, if there are 15 or 5 expansions that I need to be able to play and understand, then it's hard to get in.
Yeah, but I also mean they could hit the reset button, which they sort of did when they introduced World of Warcraft Classic mode, where you could go back and start over the game. So
sure.
If I had been the creative director at Blizzard Entertainment, much earlier on, I would have said that we built the story up for Sargeras being the final boss. Okay, I like the twist that the actual final boss is the Old Gods. So when we have defeated Ensoth, that's the ending of the game. We make a cool ending, And I would have gone with the twist that, the planet is destroyed and we all die. And it's a sort of oh no, we should never have just blindly followed what the Titans wanted because they were never our friends, we were their tools. And then say, the story is over. But for those of you who want to experience it from the beginning because you came into this later on, or if you're nostalgic and want to start over, we're releasing World of Warcraft Classic and we're rerunning the entire story so that you can experience it.
Or
parallel with that, you can start a new game franchise.
What I would do is that I would have restarted it, but be able to. So you start Classic, but if you have played it once, you can start play, and you can, during the course of the game, not trust them.
That would also have been cool.
So you, through a playthrough, learn that how to not do the thing that you think is right and do the actual right thing to actually save the world in the end. That would be fun as well.
Yeah, and I also think that I would have always preferred World of Warcraft to have been a single-player role-playing game, because then you would have been able to give these opportunities to the player, which cosmic power are you going to back, and it would have created a replayability.
Sure, and we shouldn't take away from what it was. It was the thing that it started to become. It's completely
so Blizzard, if you're listening, you will be able to sell this game to me, like repackages as a single-player RPG, and I will buy that as well. Here you have all the game assets finished. There's not that much you have to change with the game, and you can sell it to me.
I would interesting to see how the subscription-based style almost came and it disappeared.
Yeah, no one was able to replicate what Blizzard and World of Warcraft achieved. A lot of people tried back in the day, but they all failed. Like they tried doing a Warhammer version, Age of Reckoning, flopped. Star Wars Old Republic, flopped. Age of Conan, flopped. In comparison to World of Warcraft.
Sure, and I think that the big reason was because Lord of the Rings, it lives still today, has a big player base, but it didn't have the thought that it should be. And I think that's the big problem with games that was supposed to be the next.
Yeah, the next something.
You can't be the next. You need to be the first you.
Exactly, and it's the same with literature. You can't say, we want to find the next Game of Thrones. You're setting yourself up for failure right there.
Yeah. And the fun stuff about trying so many different types of games and genres and everything that I do is that I don't actually know what will be good. I don't like to follow what others say about stuff, because then I need to follow others' opinion about what I think is fun.
Yeah, but I think there is one news in the fantasy world that we need to talk about.
Yep.
That has stirred some headlines. HBO's Harry Potter TV show.
Yeah.
And they have announced, it was a while ago, but that Severus Snape will be played by a black actor. And that has stirred a lot of emotion, apparently, in the Harry Potter fandom. And some base it in that it stirs too far away from how the character is described in the book, but also that it changes, it changes a lot of the story, what skin color he has. For example, if there are any Harry Potter fans out there, I have to admit, I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, so if I am wrong in my recalling of facts, then please, in the comments, clarify it for me. But as I understood, for example, that the character of Severus Snape was heavily bullied by the father of Harry Potter.
Sure.
And it becomes a very different dynamic if a British white guy really harshly bullied a black kid, because then there's a race aspect perhaps in the bullying.
It could be, but then you have to make it a race aspect.
Yeah, but therefore, I mean, that's something the writers have to be aware of when they decide to do the casting.
They are. I mean, the story is already there, and there's, for me, I always say this when it comes to how you cast and stuff. Do your thing. I don't care until I see it. And if I see it and it's not for me, then I just don't care because it wasn't for me. So I'm a fan of the story. I think they can do it really well. I think a series is more made for the type of story than a film is. I think they will never complete it. The complete 7 seasons, because of the books are so long. They would have to combine stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe one season is 2 years.
Yeah.
Because when you have actors that grow and
Yeah, exactly.
I mean that's always, I'm not saying it's a problem, but it's a problem if you know that everybody, anyone that has gone through puberty knows that you can be short 1 year and go really through a growth spurt, and the dynamic of how the characters are presented will be completely different.
Yeah.
You can always fix that in editing as well, but I mean, you want real scenes with real characters, with real people.
Exactly. And therefore my idea is that the next episode, when we will be joined by Kelly again, who is a big Harry Potter fan, we will have our main subject be Harry Potter and our relationship to that franchise, and what we think about the TV show and what we felt about the movies and books. Because of course, I haven't lived under a rock. I have seen all the movies, but I wouldn't call myself a Harry Potter fan.
Sure. Let's go into the Potterverse and see what we find there. I think so. When you say you've seen all the movies, are you talking about just the Harry Potter movies then, or are you talking about the Dumbledore movies?
I've seen the original movies, like the filmatization of the books,
yeah.
And I've seen what was it called, the Magical Beast or Mysterious Beast, something Beast.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 of those movies because they were on TV, and I just watched them. And you can't love everything. They're okay, but it's not something I get hyped about. I never fell in love with the Potterverse. But why will be a cliffhanger until next episode.
So I just say to everyone that likes Potter, I'm not part of Marcus' views here. And don't come at me. His address is...
Exactly.
But if you have any topic, you can send us an email, and we will probably take your topic and go into that topic in a deep dive if we find if we're able to.
Yes, we will. So you can always reach us at podcast@naissusbooks.com. And well, that's our show for today. We wish you all a continued great week, and for you all to look forward to our deep dive into the Potterverse.
And stay reading. Bye.
Bye.